Hello and welcome to Interesting Class, the podcast. My name is Sanjiv, but everyone calls me Siv. And today we're talking about creating space to heal. So in my opinion, everyone needs some space to heal. The reason for this is every day we're giving ourselves we're giving our energy to everything but ourselves, whether it be your job or your family or even watching content. You're giving your energy, your attention to the platform and to the content creator, which they then use to earn money for themselves. I remember when I was working in marketing, towards the end, I felt like, I kept saying to myself, why am I doing this? Why am I giving so much of my energy? I enjoyed the job, but I thought to myself, why am I giving so much energy just to make a rich man richer? But even if I look now at my job in the hospital, every day that I work, I'm going in and for 12 hours, I'm putting other people's health ahead of mine. Anything that they need, I am there helping them. And I think about it like, whenever you're doing that, whenever you're going and giving all your energy to someone else, mainly if it's work, you're coming home and you're bringing that with you. So for me in particular, going to the hospital and giving my all to these people who are unwell, I found that I was putting less and less attention on myself, and slowly but surely I got worse and I got more and more ill. It started with norovirus and having stomach issues, and then now I've had these post-viral fatigue symptoms as well. But I think about other people like surgeons and doctors, for instance. Like, imagine performing surgeries all day and then coming home to your wife and kids. It's two completely different things. So you need to create a space to rest, recover, and to heal from giving so much. A space to sort of give to yourself. So how is this done? It can be done in many ways, and I'll talk about how what I've done to create space for myself whilst I'm healing from the current illness that I have. But it can be done in multiple ways. So for me, I had to get away and have some time and space on my own. But a lot of people can't do that. For instance, if you've got a family, potentially older parents to take care of or younger kids to take care of, you might say, oh, well, I don't have the time and the money to, just go away for 4 days on my own or something like that. So, but you can create space in multiple ways. For instance, you can have your own room. Yeah, you can have your own room in the house. So you might, have a room where you just come in from work and just say, look, I need half an hour to myself to just unwind from everything that has happened in the day. Or you might use it in the morning to just start your day off right. And what can you do in these spaces? For me, creating space means it would be a space for me to do some sort of internal work like meditation, breathing exercises, journaling, that sort of stuff. But for other people, it might be something else. Like, you might want to have just take a minute and have a glass of wine, or watch a show that you like, or a YouTube series that you like, because those things can help you to de-stress from a long day. I know that I said, like, when you're watching YouTube or Netflix or whatever, you're giving your energy, and that's true, but that's not necessarily what I would do and what I'm recommending. But some people might not like to meditate or do breathing exercises or journal. They might not be sort of ready for those sort of things. But for instance, they may feel that watching a comedy show after they get home from work just helps them to put them in a nicer mood and allow them to go from a stressful environment to, okay, I'm nice, I'm relaxed, I'm upbeat because I've watched my nice, comedy show or whatever, and I can now go and do whatever I need to do with my family. But some people might say, well, I live in, a 1 or 2 bedroom house and I've got a kid or kids, or you can also create space by, going out into nature, going for a walk for an hour or so, or sitting by a lake or some sort of beautiful scenery. That can also be a way of creating space in your day-to-day life. So moving on, a lot of what I've talked about is doing stuff separately on your own, but the reality is you don't have to do things on your own. You can do them with other people, for instance, a partner, friends, even your entire family. So for instance, every Saturday morning, one of my friends who has his own personal training gym does a meditation class, and a few people who are sort of similarly minded go to that, including myself, and we meditate together. And it's a really good, safe environment, a good, safe space for us to all sort of have a bit of a reset and to get together and talk about things that have happened in the previous week that have either like challenged us or even things that we've done to move ourselves in a positive direction. And in that group, there are a family who meditate together, but they're all similarly minded. So you can do these things with other people. It just has to be someone who you just have to do it with people who are doing these things for the same reason that you are. So, for instance, if I'm, going on a walk and just wanting to be in nature and to sort of let go of the things that have happened in the day, it might be better for me to do that on my own rather than doing it with someone else, because they might want to talk. And when I'm trying to stop myself from overthinking, them, starting a discussion might distract me from that. And the same thing goes for anything else. Like if you're, if you want to, sit and watch a TV show for half an hour before you start doing things with your family when you come home from work, and one of your family members is coming in and constantly interrupting you or wants to sit and watch something with you, but is then talking and discussing, plans for the future or what happened in that day, it's going to distract you from being present in that moment and doing the activity that you wanted to do to create that space and de-stress from things that have happened in your day. So the reason why I came up with this topic to talk about in this podcast is that I was feeling very overwhelmed. I went to a therapy appointment and I said to her, I've been off work for around a month. I'm still not getting better. And I feel a bit sort of trapped and anxious. Like I'm anxious because I am supposed to be going back to work, but I don't feel ready. I'm still feeling quite ill. Just sort of, I feel trapped in this cycle of, because for the past, I'd say 6 years, I've had some sort of illness, whether it be kidney infections or dysmotility in my stomach or long COVID or other stomach illnesses or norovirus. Sorry. Yeah, just feeling trapped in that way. And also, even when I was working, I'm living at home and it's becoming more increasingly harder to move out and have my own place, even though I do want my own space. So yeah, I was just feeling very sort of overwhelmed, and my therapist suggested, she said, because I'm on a 0 hours contract and I had shifts to go back to, she said, why don't you cancel those shifts so there's no pressure, and you can go back when when you feel ready. And why don't you just take a few days away? She said, go to a log cabin or just make your own sort of retreat. Yeah, and so I thought about it and I was like, what can I do? It needs to be relatively inexpensive because I'm not earning any money, and I don't like to spend money when I'm not earning. And what would be right for me? Because when you're thinking about, well, when I think about going on a retreat, it seems quite expensive to me. Like whenever you look at going away and having, like I've seen, yoga retreats in India, or even, wellness retreats in Wales, which is pretty close to where I am, but they're all, relatively expensive. So creating my own retreat seemed like a good idea. I'm quite lucky in that we have family friends who have an apartment that's close to a beach town in Wales. So that's where I decided to go. So yeah, as I said, I decided to create my own retreat, which is going to be relatively inexpensive. I'd go away for a few days, do some walking, meditating, and just relax and get away from my current environment. So what went well? Okay, I first drove to Lake Vyrnwy and went for a little walk around there, which was really nice. However, we just had this big storm in England, and lots of trees had fallen down, so it took me a lot longer to do the full journey. And because of the fatigue symptoms that I'm having, it really wasn't a good start in terms of resting, because by the time I got to the apartment, I was absolutely exhausted. But once I was there, it was really good. Like, I was able to cook foods that I wanted, that I felt would be good for me. And this is something that is really important to me, because I've been experimenting with my diet a lot because I've had a lot of stomach issues. And I've had a lot of judgment from people about that. Like, oh, why are you looking to go vegetarian? You won't get enough protein. Or I think you're going too strict. When people are, at work and at home, people offer me sugary stuff, and I tend to say no. And people are just like, well, I eat all these sugary things and I'm fine. I think you're going a bit over the top. But the thing is, different things work for different people, and for me, eating all these sugary stuff, even though I am guilty of doing it, I definitely have an issue with that, but I know that it's not good for me, and it affects me probably worse than other people. I have quite a sensitive stomach, so being able to go away and cook what I want and not have anyone comment on it is something that felt really good. I was also able to go for long walks on the beach and just listen to the waves and the sea air. It was really calming and relaxing. So that was fantastic. I did want to go for a swim, but I think it was about 8 degrees temperature wise. So going into that sort of sea would, on my own, probably wouldn't have been a good idea. As well as that, there was loads of jellyfish on the beach, and I didn't want to go into water when no one else was around, because the beach was practically deserted, and potentially get stung by a jellyfish and be in some sort of danger and not have anyone around to help me. But yeah, just even walking on the beach felt amazing. I was able to, do my breathing exercises and read a book. And I like to watch silly comedy shows and things like that. So just being able to relax and do that on my own when no one's around and just be in my own presence felt really good. I did a lot of journaling and I found that really helpful to stop me from overthinking. Instead of thinking, I would just write what I thought, and I wouldn't overthink. I just sort of wrote a couple of pages a day, and I felt that the overthinking that I had and potentially often negative thoughts were less when I was doing this, so that was really good. And I also did mandala drawings, which it's basically just creating these patterns in a book and just drawing them and colouring in. And that sounds quite a juvenile thing, but it actually made me really present and sort of stopped my mind racing. I was just focusing on doing the drawing, and it was, again, really calming and relaxing. I was also able to go back to the beach at night and watch the sunset. It was actually a really beautiful day. Like, the sun was shining, which doesn't always happen when you go to the coast of Wales, as people probably know. I've been to this place 4 times now, and twice it's been absolutely windy and terrible weather, but the 2 other times have been the most amazing sunsets that I've ever seen. I was able to also watch the moon rise and look at the stars, and it was just a really relaxing time on that first day. However, I did make some mistakes. So on the second day, I wanted to go and not just be at the beach. I wanted to go and walk in some sort of greenery. So I went to a place called Port Miriam, and it's a absolutely beautiful little village. I highly recommend going. And it's got a woodland walk and a coastal walk. It was a really good experience. However, you had to pay money to enter the village, and there's something that just doesn't sit right with me about that. I understand, like, the place is absolutely beautiful and it requires money to for the upkeep, but for me, like, personally, I just don't. There's something that doesn't feel right about paying to walk in nature. Like, nature should be free for everyone to experience. That's just my opinion, and that's the way that I feel. But yeah, it was a good experience on the whole. Some really ornate buildings and an absolutely beautiful coastal view. So that was great. But then I decided to go to another beach. So the place where I was staying was Harlech, and I was going to go to Criccieth Beach. It was a recommendation from a family member. And this is sort of where the mistake started. So on the way there, it was only supposed to be a 10-15 minute journey, and I encountered 3 roadblocks. Now, to me, I was like, this is 3 signs to tell me to, and I just had this feeling, you should probably just turn back. You should probably just turn back. You should probably just turn back. And every time I felt that, hitting these 3 signs, I was like, oh, well, you're on your way. You might as well just keep going. And every time I was just like, well, you know, you're further on now. If you don't go, then it would be even more of a waste. But lo and behold, and it took, this 15-minute journey ended up taking me an hour because I hit these 3 roadblocks. And I just thought, I got there and I thought to myself, why did you bother doing this? The beach that was close to the apartment was absolutely beautiful sands and so calm, and no one was there. This beach was incredibly rocky and hard to walk on, and I think I was frustrated by all the roadblocks and stuff, and also not listening to my gut and just heading back. But yeah, there was definitely no need for me to go out and see this other beach when I had such beauty right next to the place where I was staying. And the frustration from doing that sort of compounded. My family member also said there was a beachside restaurant, and I thought it could potentially be something nice, you know, go spend some time on the beach and then have a nice meal, and it was all going to be like fresh seafood and stuff, so that is something that appeals to me. I know that I've spoken about, you know, wanting to go eat less meat and fish, but it's not something that I'm currently not just just because I haven't fully committed to it yet. Yeah, so I go to this beachside restaurant and all of the prices naturally were hugely expensive, and this was supposed to be an rather inexpensive trip where I was cooking for myself. So that was definitely a mistake. The whole going to that beach thing, I definitely should have listened to the 3 signs that I came across and gone home instead. That was definitely something, this was definitely like a learning part of that experience, because becoming so frustrated with myself from ignoring the signs and from eating this expensive meal that I didn't really want to eat, I then felt worse about myself and went and had even more stuff that I don't want to eat, like biscuits and chocolates and stuff, to sort of comfort me. And that's something that, and that brings me nicely onto the next part, which is talking about what I learned from this experience. So yeah, the first thing is that my relationship with food is not great, in that when I feel bad about myself, I reach for things that aren't necessarily good for me but make me feel better. So like sugary foods like biscuits and chocolate and crisps and things like that. But then eating those foods also makes me feel worse about, well, not only about myself, but also it doesn't agree with my stomach, and then I'm annoyed at myself again, and it's just this vicious cycle of destructive eating behavior. So that was something that I learnt. And also when I was walking along the beach, I was listening to the waves come and go, and I sort of realized that because I've been so ill over the past because I've had a fair few illnesses over the past 4 or 5 years, I started to identify as an ill person just in general, like seeing myself as that rather than seeing illnesses as something that, like the waves, come and go. And that just sort of came to me as I was walking along the beach and listening to the waves. So that was quite enlightening. This was a really great break, and it was super inexpensive in the main. And it's definitely something that I want to do again, just to create a good space for me to have for myself in my current situation. So yeah, just hope that was a bit informative. Let me know what you think. How do you create space for yourself? Would you create your own retreat? Or have you been on a retreat, and how did you find that? Yeah, let me know in the comments. And yeah, like and subscribe. Hope this one was informative for anyone who watches. And yeah, thanks for watching.